Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Welcome back to the Jeff Crilley Show. I'm really excited about the final guest of this hour, Harry H. Harrison Jr. He is a best-selling author and a parenting expert. Harry, welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Well, I asked you this question downstairs when you first arrived at the iHeart Media building here, that when you write a best-selling book on parenting, you pretty much got to live that. You got to be super dad every day, don't you?
Well, when I wrote it, my oldest son was just entering college, and my youngest son was like a junior in high school. So all the mistakes that I might have made were done.
Did they ever lord it over you? Did they say, hey, Dad, in chapter 3 it says...
Or what they said, without us, you'd never amounted to anything.
That's pretty true. Well, how did you go ahead and set out on becoming a best-selling author? I mean, where did the book come from? The first one.
So I'm an advertising writer, a creative director. I've been a creative director most of my adult life. And it's a dream of every creative director to write a book. And like it's a dream of every art director to paint or sculpt or do that painting. So I was at that time consulting. I had clients coming in, clients leaving, and I mean like projects coming in, and then I'd be done with them and another project would come in. So I was between projects, and one day my son said, Dad, you ought to write a book about raising boys. I was absolutely stunned. I didn't know he noticed.
But that's a compliment.
Oh, it was a
huge compliment.
Huge compliment. And about 3 days later, my lawyer said, Harry, your boys are really something. You ought to write a book about raising boys. And so I thought, okay, God's trying to tell me something here.
Wow.
I need to write a book. So I started getting up at 4 in.the morning and putting pen to paper. And the first sentence I wrote was, teach him how to eat an Oreo cookie. So I leaned back and thought, and I could get all Kierkegaard about this, and what's the meaning of the outer shell and the inner filling, and I thought, no, men don't understand that. So that's all. So that was it. So that kind of shaped all the books since then. Is that I wrote them ideally for men to read because men are beasts. They don't really read. They read real short sentences. So the book was written for men, and to my utter amazement, it did really well.
Well, let me ask you about that. There are tens of thousands of books written every year, and many of them never sell more than 2,000. I think that's the national average. When you were writing your first New York Times bestseller, did you know that you had a hit?
I knew it was good, but good doesn't always mean it's a hit. I mean, there's a lot of great books out there by great authors that nobody's ever read. And, it was really I was just very, very blessed. The strangest thing was my PR director quit, and the book just kind of sailed out there to bookstores. And about a year later, I got this thing in the mail, and it was a check. I thought, wow, this is good. Yeah, I thought maybe I need another book.
Suddenly you were inspired to continue writing. No, that's awesome. Well, look, I have to believe that, every generation probably says this, it's tougher being a parent these days than it was when, my parents were raising me. Do you think it's tougher or no?
No, I don't think it's true. I think it's harder to make it. I think parents are having a hard decision about whether to commit to parenting or not.
Mm-hmm.
Most parents don't. They want their kids to be happy, and that is the ticket to failure.
Wow. Well, now, have you ever had a question from a 7-year-old before?
I'm dreading this
on the radio. All right, Caleb, don't ask him about dinosaurs now. We need you to ask a parenting question.
Computer games. I don't know.
Okay, what's your question, Caleb?
So I'm wondering. How would it be? How would you get your kid to go to your work when they want to go to their grandma's house?
Okay, now that's a tough question.
Okay, how would you get them to go to work when they want to go to grandma's? Because grandma has cookies, and our grandson loves coming to grandma's. Okay, no, that's a good. So here's the deal about it. That leads into so many things, Caleb. most parents, like I said, most parents would rather their kids be happy than successful. And being happy means, okay, I'll buy him a BMW at 16. I won't make him go to work because that's too stressful. I don't really want him to be on a team unless it gives everybody a trophy for participation. And that child grows up thinking, well, life is easy. And then they step out in the world and they're tested. And they think, this isn't the way life is supposed to be. So they run home. So, today we have more 20 to 30-year-olds living at home than ever before because they can't face the adult world. A good third to maybe more college students fail out the first 2 years.
Is it because the parent is trying to be their pal?
Exactly. They're trying to keep their kids happy. They don't want them to be stressed. They don't want them to suffer. They want them to suffer. And, of course, it's pain where we grow. And parents make a concerted effort not to have their kids in pain. So they do everything for them, they buy everything for them, and they come up with a high school graduate that, colleges today, like Notre Dame and University of Michigan, are all offering English remedial classes because the kids never learned English in high school because they never wrote papers. Because when a teacher starts assigning papers, then kids start making 40s and 50s and irritates mothers who go slamming up to the school, yell at the teacher, and so we don't assign papers in high school anymore.
And kids really do need structure and maybe crave structure, do they not?
They crave, absolutely. They crave structure. When you give a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old, a 17-year-old structure, they like it. And it feels weird to them running and wild in the streets. Our kids had a curfew. We raised from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and maybe in senior year, maybe midnight. A lot of kids didn't have curfews, and my sons would come home all the time going, Johnny can stay out till 11 o'clock.
Right.
And I go, yeah, he doesn't live here.
What about, let's talk about parenting and the husband and wife being on the same page, because I can speak for myself that I was the candy man. I was the one who never disciplined, and it was always the mom that was the disciplinarian.
Our house was different. My wife was a candy man. and generally it is the wife who is a barrier
right
to giving the kids discipline. I don't mean just disciplining them. I mean giving them discipline, giving them chores,
yes,
making them work.
But when the child tries to play mom against dad, I mean,
there's no greater manipulator than a 5-year-old. They can work that couple to death. Eventually, the other partner has to see the wisdom, and my wife eventually saw the wisdom of what I was trying to do. And my goal in raising my sons was to raise adults, and I would tell them, I'm not raising teenagers. I'm raising future adults. So this is why we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. And this is why you're getting a job, so you learn how hard it is. This is why you have to do your homework. This is why you have to be in 11. I don't want you to run around the streets at night. The discipline is what they crave and it's what they respond to. But the other parent, rarely are all parents or both parents on the same page. And that was some of the greatest friction between me and my wife.
If you've been doing it the wrong way for years, is it too late? Can you correct? I mean, if let's suppose I'm the candy man and I pick up one of your books and I realize, okay, now I really need to not just use the carrot, but I also need to use the stick. Can you change course?
Depending on the age of your kids, you certainly can. Probably but once they get out of junior high, you've set the stage. If you change course, and it's always good to change course, but you're going to meet a lot more resistance than if you had done it when they were 10 or 7 or 6. It's why parenting is so critical the first 3 or 4 years.
I'm going to have Sarah jump in here because she's a young mom and she has a full-time job and works with me at Real News PR, and it's tough to be kind of super mom these days, isn't it, Sarah?
Question for Harry just about rewards. So every kid gets a trophy kind of mentality for parents. What is the best reward in your opinion for children? Is it praise? Is it no reward? Is it materialistic if they do go the extra mile? What is your opinion on rewarding children?
this generation is called the overpraised generation because they get praised for putting on a shirt.
Good job, you did it.
You did it, right.
You put on your shoes.
You put on your shoes.
I'm that parent.
So the best praise is when there's been an accomplishment. Parents tend to praise, oh, you tried so hard on that test, but you failed it.
Right. Good job for trying. No.
And so the praise should come after the accomplishment. And that gets kids used to accomplishing things. Not just, you have so many young adults that say, I tried so hard and I got fired. Well, did you show up on time?
Right.
Did you dress appropriately?
I was thinking about this question earlier, Harry. What TV dad do you respect? I mean, I think about, Father Knows Best and, the Brady Bunch and, do you have a TV dad that you say, now that was a great example of parenting?
I hate to say it, but until he destroyed his career, Bill Cosby was an awesome TV dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was awesome.
That
was fiction.
Yeah, I also think about Andy Taylor. Remember Mayberry?
Oh yeah.
Andy
was good. Andy was a good dad. Yeah, he was a good TV dad. But actually, now I'm thinking about it, Andy Griffith did kind of pose some real life problems in raising a son, and that's the problem with TV dads is that very rarely do they come across the issues that parents face every day with a demanding 4-year-old. I remember standing in a store where a kid was screaming his lungs off in a furniture store, and the father couldn't control him.
Wow.
I thought, this is going to be a definition of the way your next 20 years are going to be, and they were.
Wow. Well, Harry H. Harrison Jr.com is the website, and we're out of time for today. We're absolutely going to have you back. We've got so much more to cover.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a guest on my show, and we'll see everybody next week.